Can you hear me? All right. Being here, virtually, and
Yep.
also, I'd like to tell you good morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you're actually. So I'm Caio, and I'm gonna talk to you about warm-ups as strategic tools, right? Um, what made me really conduct this and write articles about that, and also cover this topic in a conference that I recently have participated in Buenos Aires for the Southern CONTEXTUALIZATION conference is that, well, I have attended several language classes, including my mother tongue and some other languages as well. I've been studying English for 20 years. I've been studying Spanish for, I don't know, 8 or 10, and French for, I don't know, 4 or 5. And I can see that some languages lessons, they tend to be different one from the other, of course. But there is one thing that sets some of them apart from the others, which is the use of warm-ups in the very beginning of the class, right? Um, right. So I'd like to introduce to you the warm-up tree, which is a drawing that I came up with that just shows the three main characteristics of a warm-up. So first of all, warm-ups are activities that we use at the very first moment of a lesson just to start it and just to warm students up actually, right? So a warmer should be short. I mean, it can be a long task for students. Also, it is necessary to be easy. I mean, you don't have to really prepare students for that. I mean, you might prepare them just for for the instructions. They need to know what they have to do, but you shouldn't prepare them linguistically. I mean, it should be something easy, something that they probably know about. And also, the third characteristic is that it should be fun, right? I mean, this is one of the characters of warm up. And then in the branches we have some uses of the warm up. And when I choose a warm up to start my lesson, I usually try to cover all these six objectives, right? Which includes contextualization, language input, an open door environment to create an open door environment, student engagement, language switch, and expectations alignment, right? Good. Something else that I did with my students was to come up with this survey where they before the lesson and after the lesson they answered a few questions, right? So the pre-lesson questions would be things like how their day has been, and their mood of the day, and how did they feel about how they felt about having English lessons on that day, right? Um, so I came up with this scale from 1 to 5 so that they could give this idea, right? Coming from terrible up to awesome, right? And then they would answer how they felt um, about having English class, right? And then I had some post questions where they had to answer how was the lesson today? How did you participate in all activities? And how did you feel motivated to participate? All right, and it's really interesting that in the very beginning of the lesson, they would have the same status. I mean, it would go from 340 up to 360 in every lesson. And this darker line here in the graph represents some days where, on purpose, I didn't come up with any warm-ups for them, and then the energy or their engagement tended to be a little lower, right? But when they had warm-ups, which is the lighter line, they had a more engagement in the lesson, right? Good. And then as the survey shows we have these warm-ups as engaging activities. So what I see is that when there is a good warm-up, students get engaged throughout the lesson, right? So I definitely use warm-ups with them in order to have them engaged as much as possible during the lesson. I also use this as a language switch. So my reality is that I teach English is in a country where English is not spoken, right? So students might speak other languages, mainly Portuguese, of course, um, through all the day long. And then when they come to the English lesson, they are supposed to just switch it to English, right? So warm up, as long as it's easy, as long as it's short, it helps them just to switch the language and really start thinking in English and start producing language in English, right? I also use it as contextualization, so I can I don't really need to say what we're gonna work on, what topic we're gonna cover, because it contextualizes them already. So as I said, it's an alignment of expectations as well, because if I do a warm up with I don't know, talking about clothes, vocabulary, or I don't know, anything else. If the warm up is about clothes, so they know they are not gonna learn, I don't know, anything else, right? I mean, they're not gonna learn places in town because the warm up wasn't about that. And also this is a language input. I can use this as a language input. So I might use it just to, for example, I can bring less sentences, right, using simple past and present perfect. And then they have to do, I don't know, running dictation or any other kind of activity. And they already start spotting the difference between the use of them, right? Something really cool that I noticed while teaching English is that warm-ups help me just to create a friendly and an open door environment. It means that students tend not to be, afraid of making mistakes, and they really participate and they feel, okay in the lesson. I can see a good group cohesiveness usually in my groups. And I really believe that this has to do with the very first moments of the lesson, which is when I prepare a lesson, which is the warm up. All right, and also last but not least, I use it for having a fun moment in the class. I mean, not the only fun moment of the lesson, but it's one of the fun moments of the lesson, because students they might have many other things to do in their lives. They have their work, they have projects they have been working on, they have I don't know, karate or Spanish or many other things. So I really think that the English lessons need to be fun, or they have to be relaxed to to learn English, right? Well, and then here I bring for you the top five warm-ups, the warm-ups that my students usually like, which is back to the board, running dictation, Kahoot, which is a website. It's really nice because there is to do with using their mobiles in the lesson, right? Broken telephone, also known as Chinese whispers, and dictogloss, right? I don't think I'll have the time to cover all of them or to tell you about all of them, but well, you might find this on the web. I mean, if you Google it, you're gonna definitely find many things great about it. And I can tell you, at least in a Latin country, which is Brazil, that I work in, um, it really engaged students the most. These five warm-ups that I brought for you. Well, if you don't find anything on the web about it, you can you can write me, right? To have my mail down, contato at caiobernaz.com, or you can also use my check it out in my website www.caiobernaz.com, right? And well, I'm there for you to just to answer your questions in case you have it. And thank you. It was a pleasure being here.